Hello everybody and welcome to this month's Empowered Life series. So we are going to be talking about emotional health and how essential oils really play into that. So before we start, I want to introduce myself. My name is Russell Butters. I'm the Vice President of Sales for the United States. And today we have two very special guests that I'm happy that you get to listen to. So first of all, we have Dr. Heather Pickett and then Dr. Brannick Riggs. So you guys will get to know these people if you don't already. They're very influential in what we're doing with our medical programs for the future. So before we start, do you guys just want to take a second and introduce yourself a little to them?
Sure. My name is Heather Pickett, and a year ago, I did not anticipate being right here where I'm at. And it's pretty amazing. It's because of this gentleman here who I saw on stage a few conventions and said, I got to meet him. I'm a family medicine physician. I'm retired Air Force. And I have a passion for essential oils. I'm an osteopathic physician, so I tend to look at the whole person. And I've also done a lot of training in medical acupuncture, and essential oils in my practice have just transformed that particular aspect. And now I'm fortunate to be the physician for the doTERRA employees as we start up our new clinic here in Pleasant Grove, and I'm really honored to be here.
Great, Heather. So I'm Dr. Brannick Riggs. I'm also a family practice physician. I'm the Vice President of Healthcare Initiatives here at doTERRA, and just excited to be a part of this amazing renewing of healthcare is what we're about. We're excited to transform healthcare and make it where it's better for patients, much more patient-centric, and much better for physicians that are practicing medicine. So we're excited to be here and be discussing today emotional health.
Yeah. And I just want to say it's such an honor to have these guys with us. They're some of the best and brightest in industry. And actually, Dr. Heather Pickett, my wife and daughter visit you regularly, and they have nothing but the best to say. So it's a great addition to not only our team, but the teachings and the wisdom that you'll be able to share with everybody will undoubtedly help all wellness advocates for years to come. So this month's topic is a big topic. Emotional health. That could go 100 different directions, right?
Very broad.
But when you think about emotional health and behavior and essential oils, can you maybe just share some of those experiences that you've had with yourself or your patients in regards to emotional behavior, emotional health, and how essential oils have helped them?
So I have to say that this is one of the reasons that I started looking into essential oils, seeing the remarkable change that they can bring about as a result of their utilization and in the mood, and specifically how rapidly it can make a difference. So what I have noticed is things in medicine or things that I've seen with my patients that may not always have an answer. I have seen rapid and sustained improvement with uses of the essential oils. For example, I had a good friend whose 4-year-old son had extreme anxious thoughts and extreme nervousness when they were around dogs. And they didn't have any particular trauma, no past history of problems, but they really couldn't almost function and go out into just anywhere around. And that's when the new emotional aromatherapy blends had come out. And I thought, you know what, let's just try this peace blend on the big toe, because we know that the body contains numerous microsystems, and these microsystems are present on the ear, on the hand, on the sole of the feet, and you can utilize these oils in different areas to affect different parts of the body. Let's just try this. I've heard this can be beneficial. I use similar theories like that with acupuncture. And so I put a couple drops of peace on him. Within 5 minutes, he was a transformed child. And his mom broke down in tears. I broke down in tears. It was phenomenal. And since then, he has had no problem, no fear of dogs. He can manage it. And that same child, again, had some anxious feelings going to the dentist. All they needed to do was utilize a little bit of peace, have him inhale it, put it on a few of his pulse points. And even the dentist asked, what happened to this kid? What happened? And those kinds of things, you don't have an answer for. And I've seen that with the oils. So that's just a little bit.
Isn't it amazing how that aroma can hit those receptors in the nose and then immediately go into the brain and change our thought process even.
Right.
And I find that fascinating. A few years ago, I went to a continuing medical education conference in Phoenix, Arizona, and it was January here in Utah. And January is typically, we don't get as much daylight. It's typically clouds overhead like it is today, and people have some challenges with that in the wintertime in the northern states. But I went down to this conference to Phoenix, Arizona, and the resort where the conference was at, they put me on a second floor room, and I opened up the windows or the doors to the balcony there, and I was right over an orange grove that was in full bloom. Like, it was amazing. And the smell that came, I don't think for the 4 days I closed those doors because I just felt immediately there's just kind of this uplift of your mood. You feel so much better. Number one, there was sunlight down there. And then number two, this smell that came in off that orange grove every time the wind changed, it was just beautiful. And so now I really love the neroli oil because it reminds me of that event. And sometimes when we tag a certain emotion like that feeling good with a smell, when we're feeling bad and we reach for that smell again, it brings us right back to that feeling better because we've kind of associated that very quickly, and it just enters the brain so fast that it changes our mood so quickly within 5 minutes, as you said. It's amazing.
And I think some skeptics have asked, well, you have to believe in it. Well, that's not necessarily the case with children,
How do
right?
you get a 4-year-old to believe?
Exactly. Like, they didn't really know
oils?
what we were doing.
Right.
I've tried that trick with my twins, who are teenagers now, and used the emotional aromatherapy blends for some of their changes in mood that occur pretty rapidly at times. And
Particularly teenagers.
Exactly.
Yeah, they need a little extra.
Exactly. And covertly kind of diffused the oils in certain areas, especially some of the ones we'll talk about later that have some good data behind them in terms of changing mood, and diffuse them, and they didn't really know what was going on, and you see a big change in their mood.
One of the things you mentioned with families, and you asked the question about ourselves or patients or family members, at our house, we have a massage table in our home. And so our kids, they're 6 and 4, depending upon what they're acting like during the day, we do a massage with certain oils at nighttime. So they get it along their spine, we get it on the bottom of their feet, and we massage them after they get in pajamas. And it just helps them kind of deal with the emotions of the day and helps them the next day kind of be reset to wake up and have a much better day. So it's pretty great to use on kids for sure.
What I love what both you guys highlighted in that question was you talked about kids, younger kids. You talked about your experience as an adult. And when we talk about emotional behavior, it's really for everybody, right? Young kids, older adults, we all have emotions. So when you think kind of digging into this topic a little bit, specifically with essential oils, what's your experience with what oils can people use when it comes to emotional health?
For me, I'm again, probably from that experience that I personally had down in Phoenix, I reach for citrus oils. I love them. I think that the chemistry within the citrus oils really helps uplift us. So anything like the cheer blend, the elevation for sure.
Motivate.
I love citrus bliss. I'm a huge fan of wild orange. And it almost doesn't matter which citrus it is. I mean, even Slim and Sassy that has lemon and grapefruit in it tends to help us feel better. We tend to have a little bit of uplift with that, probably, which helps us with our cravings and, staying on a good, consistent diet, etc. But anytime that we're feeling good about ourselves emotionally, we just tend to have a better lifestyle.
And then scientifically speaking, right, it's the monoterpene backbone that you've taught me, and the limonene that you get, excuse me, in the citrus. And also talking about another oil is Melissa, that is phenomenal for emotional calming. And they're uplifting, they're restoring, and there's good data behind this
for sure.
in terms of looking at the brain chemistry and what these particular chemical constituents in the citrus oils are doing.
One of the studies I just read on Melissa is the study that they did with feelings of anxiousness in elderly population with memory challenges, memory issues. And speaking of the children not being able to understand why you're using the oil, not buying into the idea that this will work for them, this is that same population. And they found that it significantly altered those feelings of anxiousness for those folks that they were researching. And so it's amazing to see, from our standpoint, the chemistry as we look at that, and then real world application with the population and see that there's a significant change in them.
Right.
And I think on those lines, you have had a lot of experience, and myself as well, with elderly patients, right?
Right.
Seeing the result that can come about by just a massage with a drop or two of lavender in a
Right.
nursing home. I've seen that, and I'm sure you've had experience with that.
Right.
You can see a change in their face. Their face softens, their wrinkles soften, and you don't see this with a lot of other modalities.
Right, and particularly when other treatments that we have been trained in that population puts them at higher risk for falls, for further memory loss, causes some instability in them, and that's a significant issue for a
Yes.
70 or an 80-year-old
Huge.
person. And in this case, you can get the same benefit without putting those risks out there for those people to have some challenges that way.
The act of someone who's caring for an elderly parent, which is going to be true for all of us, right? It's really big in this generation now, that the children now are taking care of the parents. And utilizing the oils in that way during the health challenges that the parents are going through can be extremely effective for both of them, right? Because of the stressors that may go along with the health challenges in trying to take them to appointments and going back and forth and all of the different things that go along. Slowing down, just like you do with your kids, slowing down and allowing them to reconnect helps downregulate the brain and helps to calm them down as well with citrus a lot.
Right.
Of time. Yeah.
And I love what you guys are highlighting there. And when I think of people that will be watching this webinar, we're going to have people that are very experienced with essential oils, but we're going to have people that are brand new as well. So do you have some tips, or when they have, and most everybody's surrounded by some kind of emotional situation, how would you suggest that they kind of narrow down, well, I know citrus oils and there's these oils.
Right.
What kind of research can they do to figure out what can best work for them or that person that's around them?
For me, when the emotional aromatherapy blends came out, that was such a great tool. So you have the 6 blends that work with numerous emotions, right? That the oils in those blends are responsible for affecting the emotions in that area of the brain. And we know from psychology literature that when you identify your emotion, that in and of itself is a form of therapy.
Sure.
So by taking that wheel, the emotional aromatherapy wheel, I have used that so many times since you guys came out with it 3 or 4 years ago. Let's identify where you're at. That's the first step. Am I anxious or distressed, discouraged? Am I grieving? Am I angry? All of those are allowing your brain to connect with where you are, because sometimes you can't even get past that.
Right.
And then you go right to there's usually 2 blends there, whether it's forgive, whether it's console, whether it's peace, and try those out on yourself. And then it tells you on the outside of the wheel whether it's a citrus predominant, right? Or it's a mint, or it's a grass, or it's a wood. But I feel like that's been a really great tool that I've used with myself, with my family, and with my patients.
My dad asked me one day, he says, so son, you have this issue, and there's 5 different oils listed here that you can use. So what do I choose? And my response to him is, the great thing about having numerous oils to use for any one challenge is that you can choose the one that speaks to you. While, for instance, for myself, I don't really enjoy the smell of lavender. It's wonderful, and many, many people love it. But for me, I choose petitgrain because petitgrain has the same chemistry in it, and I enjoy that smell a whole lot better. So if you're recommending something to anyone that they don't like, your utilization goes way down.
Right.
So when you can reach for something that I really love this smell, this
Right.
connects with me. It makes me feel really good when I use this oil, but I don't like these others. Fantastic. Then that's the one you should be choosing. So I think that enters into it as well, because we're all, I mean, we learn more and more in medicine that everyone is so unique.
Every body is
Yes,
different.
correct.
Yeah.
Every
And so
single
while
body.
you may be recommending one recommendation for one person, it absolutely will not work for the next person. And so it's nice to have lots of tools in the tool belt, or lots of options in this case, to be able to say, this is the one I like, this is the one I connect with, and therefore they'll use it much more frequently.
And that's a great point, because you're right. Sometimes that first one won't work. Don't quit there.
Right.
Right.
No.
There's so many options, and
Right.
I love your point, because in those blends, you get to try a bunch of them together at once. So great thoughts.
And the
there.
blends, to me, as I look again, I'm a biochemistry guy. So as I look at the chemistry of the blends, it is incredible the way that they've come up with what goes in what blend.
It is.
Because the chemistry that they've chosen for these blends are amazing.
A lot of research.
Right.
A lot of research and science goes into that.
Well, and what I've found is when you really talk to people who are dealing with emotional challenges, which we all do, it's, well, yeah, I know it's out there, but I just haven't really tried it, or I kind of put a little bit on and it didn't really work. Goes back to what we hear a lot: consistency and small application, small amount frequently, right? But to really realize that you can use this and see a difference, but try it more than just once as well, right? And if this is a place to talk about application, I've also started utilizing certain acupuncture points, because on the inside of the elbow is a really powerful point that we use in acupuncture a lot for anxious thoughts. And I found that applying an oil over that point, kind of with an acupressure, can augment the intensity of the point, as well as over your heart and in the back of your head, right at the base of your skull. Like if you feel those little divots in there, those to me are like VFR direct, that's Air Force talk, to the brainstem. So you can get it topically applied and it goes right to the brainstem, just like inhaling goes right through the olfactory nerves, right to the brainstem. And sometimes people just hearing, okay, if I just know these few locations, then that makes it feel a little bit more doable, in addition to diffusing.
So I think that's a perfect transition. So we've talked about which essential oils to use. Dr. Pickett, you just hit on where and how to apply them. I think one other thing that I've talked to you a lot, Dr. Riggs, about is, in addition to which essential oils, but it's how do you live your life? What other things can you change in your daily life to help with those emotional behaviors? So do you want to talk about maybe some of those life changes or
For sure.
things that they can do every day?
Yeah, there are things that we can do that we know helps with mood. And it tends to be those things that when we are feeling good about ourselves and who we are, we do anyway. We're naturally attracted to. The challenge is when we are having issues with mood, those are the first things to go away. So for instance, getting a healthy amount of sleep is important. What we see with folks that have challenges with low mood is they either sleep a ton or they don't get to sleep enough. And so one of the recommendations that's easy is go to bed at the same time every night and get up at the same time every day. Just make it very regimented. And that's going to help with just naturally with the challenges that you're having. The other issue that Heather and I were talking about is a healthy diet. You want to mention something about that?
Sure. I'm sure there's 1.5 million different opinions on this on the internet. But I think one thing from a science basis that we can agree on that's been on the rise is the gut microbiome, so the bacteria in our gut and how it plays in with how our mood is. And it's called the gut-brain connection. And both Western medicine and Eastern medicine, integrative, alternative, have all been looking into this. And I just did a literature review on this recently, and the value of probiotics in helping out your gut flora, because I mean, like 90% of your serotonin, which is your feel-good hormone, brain chemistry, neurotransmitter, is produced in your gut. And if you realize that, and then all of the people populating that gut are angry and inflamed and not doing well because of diet and sleep and lack of exercise and toxin exposure, all of those kinds of things, your serotonin production isn't going to be as good. And so doTERRA PB Assist is a perfect complement to that. And they have the pre and the probiotics to optimize how it's going to get absorbed into your system. And for the kids, the PB Assist Junior.
Which I love instead of the
Love
PB
that one.
Assist because it's amazing flavor. It's like a pixie stick.
It's a pixie stick.
Yeah.
I know. We're saying our age now.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
But,
So
yes.
yes, a couple of other easy things are setting goals, even small goals. You know, it seems kind of ridiculous, but just saying every day I'm going to get up and make my bed, or every day I'm going to do dishes at the end of the night. Accomplishing those things, anything actually, floods the brain with dopamine, which is a feel-good hormone, right? Feel-good compound in the brain. And so setting small goals and being able to accomplish those are phenomenal for your health. And then also exercise.
Right.
Exercise is so important. Again, one of those things we throw out as soon as we start feeling bad, but can be so helpful at flooding the brain with endorphins to help us feel better, particularly in morning light, actually. And there's some research to support the fact that there's a wavelength of light, of UV light in the morning hours that hits the pineal gland, going through the optic nerves and the pineal gland of the brain, that helps us reset our sleep-wake cycle. So for those folks that are dealing with sleeping too much or not sleeping enough, that morning exercise outside can really be amazing at telling the brain when it's time to go to sleep and when it's time to wake up.
Right. And even if it's too difficult to try to say, okay, I'm going to do a whole program, even just 5 to 10 minutes,
Right.
3 times a day,
Yep.
that's been shown to be effective. And walking.
Yeah.
Walking has probably more data associated with it than anything in terms of its health benefits.
And then lastly, I would say that it's important to challenge negative thoughts. We all tend to trust our brains. We trust our brains to tell us the correct message. But when we're having issues with mood or feelings of anxiousness, it's important to say, okay, what is really going on here? Is what I'm feeling actually correct? Does this person really not like me, or am I just feeling that way? Is it true that my family would be better off without me, or am I just feeling that way? And look at what is the real evidence, because after all, we're trying to retrain the brain to think healthy.
Correct.
And so, especially at that time, it's good to question what our thoughts are so that we can really think through it logically.
My dad's a child psychiatrist, and so he's been a great resource for all these years. And one thing he would tell me to talk to patients about is just like what you said. You say, it's not me, it's my brain talking to me. And your brain will say different things to you. And if you understand that, okay, this isn't me, this is my brain talking to me, whatever the issue is going on. And also understanding that when you have certain thought processes that have been going on for years, it's like the pioneer wagons make those ruts, right?
Yeah.
In the dirt. And you can even still see them now on the Oregon Trail. You can see the ruts. That's where your brain's going to go. It's just going to go right into that rut and right along there. And that's where oils and changing your thoughts can help get those wheels out of that rut and go into a new rut. But it is a training.
Right.
And it's not just, oh, I inhaled the oil and I don't feel better. It's all of
Right.
It's
It's
the
all
whole
that together.
package.
Combination of everything.
It is.
Most
And
of our
it-
emotions are in the oldest part of the brain, right? The
Right.
animal
Yeah,
brain, right?
The most primitive part.
We have to use that outer cortex of the brain, the human part of the brain where we developed, to think our way or to work on our thought process to where we're feeling better.
Right.
That's not trusting that animal brain to tell us all
Right.
the messages are correct.
Right.
So one thing that you mentioned just a little while ago was how just like the weather outside can affect us. So what has been your experience? You know, we're coming out of winter, we're going to be heading into spring, and a lot of those times can change your emotions, right? So what are your experiences with that and how essential oils can help with that?
Well, since you brought me here from Las Vegas, the land of perpetual sun.
I'm from Tucson, sister.
That's true.
So I
We're both
understand.
desert rats.
Right.
I get it. Yeah.
Like we get sunshine all the time.
Don't see much of it out there
That's
right now.
right.
So one thing that I found to be really effective, and it goes back to what you were just talking about. You went down to Arizona, and I'm not telling everyone to go down to Arizona, but
Right.
you went down to Arizona in January, and it was the orange, right? So
Right.
this is coming back to the citrus, right? What the oil does in nature and what plant it comes from is also what it does to your body. So where are the citrus fruits? That's when I found out. That's amazing.
Yep.
So lemons are up there. I'm from California. Lemon tree, grapefruit tree, lime. We have all of that in our backyard. you reach up, you pick it up, and that's the same thing it does to you. It elevates you when you're in a gray zone.
Yeah.
So specifically going back to what we first said about utilizing the citrus oils, a good study was done at a medical center, a major health center, using some of the essential oil blends and looking at work productivity, work-related stress, and positive feelings. And it was also during the winter. So these things can be even worse. You're inside of a building, and this has kind of been a societal issue, right? We're inside of buildings a lot more than we used to be 100 years ago.
Right.
And the top 2 oils, statistically significant, that came out to really improve mood, positive feelings, sense of well-being, work productivity, were Forgive and Cheer. And Forgive has the pine, the tree, the uplifting with the pine trees, and then the citrus in the Cheer.
Cheers, one of my favorites. I
It's
love that
phenomenal.
blend. Use it all the time.
Great blend.
Yeah, I agree. And then talking about the light, you were going to talk about a little bit about the
We can talk a little
UV
bit about that.
light and what that does.
Right. So we know, and I've talked to a lot of folks here already in Utah that I'm seeing who could have seasonal challenges, understanding what the 10,000 lux light is about. So those are, I call them happy lights. And when I was stationed up in Alaska, they had them all over the place.
Yeah, because
Alaska,
you don't see the sun.
You don't see the
in
sun up
Alaska.
there, exactly. So they have full spectrum lights, and they're much more easily accessible now online. Get full spectrum lights. They need to be 10,000 lux, and the data is significant compared to medication. In the first 2 weeks of starting to use a happy light or a full spectrum light every day for 30 minutes a day, it can be as effective, if not more, because of minimal side effects than compared to a traditional antidepressant. Now, I know we're not talking specifically about those, but that's just a great data point to talk about light. And you want to use it, and I'm telling patients now, you can go online, get a pretty inexpensive one for your desk. You want 12 to 18 minutes in the morning, like if you can't get out to exercise, but you at least want to have the full spectrum light 12 to 18 inches away from you for 30 minutes. Don't look directly in the light, but you want to have the light being able to impact your pupil. And so it'll be coming in peripherally.
That's been amazing information, and you can see how blessed we are to have you guys as part of doTERRA. And I know everybody across the United States is excited and anxious. They probably want you to announce when we're going to have a clinic in their city.
It's coming.
And that's, isn't that the awesome news? Is we're going, and we're growing slow, but we're expanding beyond Utah and our campus here, and all of you are going to have the benefit of having, experts similar to Dr. Riggs and Dr. Pickett close to you, so that you can ask them questions, you can visit. But just to wrap up, your information's been so valuable, so thank you very much. Any last things, last tips or tricks that you want to share with everybody in regards to essential oils and emotional health?
I think I'd like to say that I think in this society, with people comparing themselves all the time, constant input from the internet, constant, what was the fear of being left out?
Comparison.
Yeah. FOLO, I think.
FOMO.
FOMO. Fear of missing out. Yeah. We know there's something called, an internet-related, depressed mood, and I just want to encourage people to know that it doesn't have to take over them. To ask for help if the emotions seem like they're really concerning you, and don't try to just do it on your own.
Yeah.
That's the beauty about the oils. You can utilize them, but work with a team, and that's part of the reason why we're having the healthcare initiative, so you can work with your physician on your own wellness, and you're not just trying to do it alone.
Yeah, I
And
agree
it's
with you.
such an amazing opportunity.
I think too that the point of lifestyle is so important in this issue. It's really one of the key things, and as we look at the building blocks, if you can have a healthy lifestyle, that's going to take care of a lot of the mood issues that you may deal with. And then on top of that, if you can have a great supplement regimen, if you can have good probiotics, a healthy gut, etc., and then past that, oils. If you're dealing with specific issues, you have that to reach for. And then not to discount at all what we do for a living.
Right.
There are times in which it is appropriate to seek professional help, whether it be a counselor, whether it be a physician, and there are times where those issues may require medication, and that's not a failure
Right,
on
right.
anyone's
That's the
part.
biggest- that's
We are a very complex system, and the oils and the lifestyle just give us more tools
Right.
to help deal with the challenges that we all experience. This is
Right.
normal. It's not an abnormal thing for us to, at various times in our lives, deal with these issues, and it's nice to have lots of different things that we can reach for that can address those problems.
That is great advice, and everybody can take a piece of that.
Everybody.
Whoever is
Yeah.
listening to this webinar, that wisdom right there, one piece or all the pieces will apply to one or all of us. So thank you both. Thanks for what you do
That's great.
and everything you contribute to doTERRA. And we look forward to hearing from you again shortly.
Thank you.
Thanks, Russ.
Thanks, Russ.
Hi there, my name's Heather Pickett. I'm an osteopath, and I am the new physician medical director for our doTERRA Pleasant Grove Employee Clinic, as well as the soon-to-be opening Pleasant Grove Clinic for Prime Meridian Healthcare in May of 2019. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about the Happy Light. I've used this extensively in my practice, and I love to educate my patients, and I like to use props. So these are not the props I want to use. However, the reason I have them is because when you have what's called seasonal affective disorder, you just want to partake of this entire bin of these goodies here. So if you're noticing that maybe there's a little too many of these snacks on your desk or around the house, and you're feeling like really tired and the weather's changed and you think everything is gray even if it's not, and you're sleeping in really late and you're feeling a little more irritable, you might have some component of what we call in medicine seasonal affective disorder. So I'll put these down now, and I'll try not to have one. So one thing that has really been shown to be effective is called a full spectrum light. So you can easily find them online now, and it's a lot more accessible, I think, than it used to be 15 years ago when I got this behemoth here, which they still make. But this is a full spectrum light that helps your body adjust. The full spectrum rays, these 10,000 lux is what they call these particular rays, impact your brain via the light going to your pupil, to your pineal gland, and activate the brain chemistry that helps uplift your mood, especially during weather changes. So just a little education on that. 4 out of 5 people, if you were to take 5 people, probably 80% of them would be women who suffer from seasonal affective disorder. And it's probably also a combination of our hormones and our emotions, but it can definitely be a struggle. And sometimes people just don't realize that it's happening. 5 to 10% of the population can suffer from it. And 40% of people who have it can have it throughout their life. The other interesting point is that you can get it even in the summer. And I see a lot of patients who don't realize that, oh my gosh, it's beautiful out, I should be at the beach. Why am I feeling so blue in April or May? Or why am I feeling so blue in August or September? The change in the way the sun is affects our brain, and even if it's going from darker to lighter. So don't be so hard on yourself, and understand that that may be a component of what's going on. And even during bright seasons, the light can help you. The best way to use this is to keep it about 12 to 18 inches from you, and say you're at your desk or in the morning as you're getting ready, and turn it on, and it's pretty bright. Don't look right into it. You can kind of see at an angle. And you just want to have it enough in your peripheral vision so that as you're working, the light is coming in. And you can keep working, doing whatever you need, meditating, reading, and you probably don't want to be working out. You want to have a consistent amount of light that's entering and not moving around as much. And you really want to do it for 30 minutes. The studies have shown that 30 minutes in the morning is the best time, and the outcomes have been the best compared to medication. So like I said, they did a great trial with the medication head-to-head with the full spectrum light, or the Happy Light, and the mood changes within 2 weeks were as effective, if not more, than the medication without the side effects. So put away the M&Ms, turn on the light, and get to feeling better.